Fence Marketing Profit Podcast. Interviews with $1 million plus fence and gate business owners on how they market and grow their companies in today's economy. Hear directly from the most successful leaders in your business and discover what they're doing to keep their phones ringing, trucks running, and businesses booming. With your host, Scott Andreessen.
All right, so we are actually live right this very moment. We are live, but what I'm going to do is give people just a minute or so to get in. People are coming in quick. Right now, we've got a lot of people. I want to give it a shout out to Brad, to Charlie, to David, Heather, Nicole, Ryan, Sam. We got a couple users by phone. Scott, quite a few Scotts. Sheila, Steve, Wesley. So quite a few people joining. Charlie, awesome. Well, this is super exciting. So I think we can go ahead and get started. And on this webinar, this is very special. We have Matt Warner of mySalesmen, along with Rachel of mySalesmen. And I got so excited about this that I did one of these. Boom! Yeah,
I love it.
That's it. So,
that is awesome.
Matt, not a lot of people may know exactly, what it is you do. And so I think it would be great if we just started off by having you tell us a little bit about yourself and a little bit about mySalesmen and stuff like that, if you would.
All right. Well, I'm a 5'10", 223-pound Polish guy from Nebraska. Got a lot going against me in that realm. Grew up on a farm just north of town here, and at about 29 years old, I decided to leave the farm, got into construction, got hired by a fence guy. They kind of downsized, so I started my own fence company in 2009, which is Empire. This is actually our new sign. We just built a brand new building, brand new offices, and all new facility. Actually are moving our yard to a new facility. We just bought some new land for that, so we'll have about a 20-acre area to spread out and get everything going. So Empire is what we do and what I do every day. So I am the basically president of Empire Netting and Fence. We travel around doing a lot of netting projects. We've even went as far as South America to do netting, which was a really, really awesome learning experience. And with the language barrier and everything, it was really awesome. With that being said, in 2011, I got tired of chasing dead-end leads. I was doing a project in Lincoln. There was a company there that was doing drawing tool on the wall. When I walked in, I saw they had all these drawing tools going on. They were using all kinds of mapping systems. And I said, hey, do you guys have a second? I got an idea. I'm tired of chasing dead-end leads. I want people to know what a fence costs before I get there. I don't necessarily need them to figure out the estimate and figure out everything on their own. I just want them to know about what a vinyl fence costs, because I was tired of people telling me, oh, I had no idea it would cost $5,000. So I walked into their office. They gave me an opportunity. I went up on the marker board. I started drawing the vision that I had with the catalog popping up with all these different ideas. And I asked them, I said, would you build this for me? Obviously, like I said, I'm a farm kid that grew up. I'm not a IT savvy tech guy. I love technology, but I struggle with it just like everybody else does. That's not my wheelhouse. My wheelhouse is more running our company and doing that. So all of a sudden, within a year, we had this awesome tool, and we were trying to figure out how to use it. We had a few people testing it. And I still have 2 or 3 beta test people that are using it to this day, and they have helped me grow. So I've listened to their ideas, and we've implemented things and talked. And now I believe we're almost in every single state across the United States with the mySalesman tool. Rachel, which is on here, she runs the day-to-day operations, and she is, as they say, the student has become the teacher. She is a lot of times she comes to me and says, oh, Matt, did you know that we did this? You can do this and make your life easier. So she actually helps me because she's listening to other fence people and how they're using it too. And then we kind of share those ideas together. That's why I think we have grown and we have done a better job of cutting our overhead and really not sending anybody on a wild goose chase. We really make the most of our time. And so then today, I mean, we've been doing fence since obviously 2009, and now just this spring we moved into this new building and we're growing rapidly. And I have a ton of people in the fence industry that I reach out to every day. I talk to the guys at Homeland Vinyl all the time. How do I do this better? What do I do? So I'm learning too. So by all means, on this little get together group, I don't want anybody to think I've got all the answers because I'm still figuring it out. But I will tell you this, when it comes to qualifying lead, we're really, really good at it and we don't waste any time. So
that's awesome. That's me. Awesome. So, I mean, that's exactly what we're going to be talking about is inbound fence sales mastery and the mySalesman tool and your approach. We're going to dive into that a lot deeper. You have a 80-20 rule is what you call it. And can you talk a little bit about that mindset that people need to get in when they're doing their sales process in this way?
Absolutely. So I really firmly believe that you can't chase you don't want to chase every single lead. But that's just my mindset. My mindset was back in 2009 when I first got going, man, I've got to go to everybody's house. I got to see every job. I got to try to land every single job. As we've grown and went through this, I've changed that. And by all means, if people still think they want to chase every job, that's awesome. But I think that in order to grow your business, you have to literally change your mindset. You have to say, and I believe that's with anything. I was telling you the other day, Sky, if you want to lose weight, you have to change your mindset. You have to say, I'm going to change my eating habit, or I'm going to exercise every day. Me, I love being 223 pounds. I carry this weight really well. I love what I eat. I enjoy life. I don't care to lose any weight. So I'm going to keep my mindset the way it is. I enjoy lifestyle that I live. So, but if you wanted to do something no different than if you want to change your mindset or the way your business is working and your revenue models, or if you want to help your salespeople have less dead-end leads, then you have to change your mindset on what you're doing and how you're doing it. So when you're doing that, you have to be able to think about all the different things that are coming at you and process them. That's the mindset.
Okay. And you told me something that was pretty remarkable. A lot of guys are in this situation, and gals running a fence company, about the jobs you did and the revenue. Basically, you changed your prices and stuff like that. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. So a couple years ago, we were really, in 2017, we were really struggling getting people into our industry, right? Finding people to go install fence, finding good quality employees, finding employees with driver's license. And it was a problem. So with that, I said, okay, we have this many crews and however many crews everybody else has. Let's say you have 5 crews and you can do so many jobs with those 5 crews. Well, how do you build your revenue if you can't add more crews? Or how do you make more money or grow your business? You have to grow your revenue. Sorry, I said that wrong, but you have to grow your revenue without growing your people. That's really tough to do. So what I said is I went and found another small fence company in town. I love them. They're great people. They actually buy some products from us. And I said, hey, how would you like to have all of our leads that we don't want, that we just can't get to? Because there's plenty of stuff. And he said, oh man, that would save me on marketing. I wouldn't have to spend so much time trying to do that. And I'm a one-man show. It's literally him and 3 guys. So there's 4 of them. So they split into 2 crews, but most of the time they're 3 crews in one. So I said, I'll give you everything that we don't want. So what we said is we're going to use mySalesman, and we're going to qualify all the leads that we want. So after 2017, I said, okay, how many jobs did we do? When we divided it out, and we said, okay, the average job was $2,900 across the board. So we said, let's see what we can do to really stretch that revenue and do the same amount of jobs, but grow in revenue. So we started really focusing on giving the small jobs to our competition. We didn't even sell them to them. We literally gave them to them and said, here, you can have these small ones. And then we took all the jobs that were in our wheelhouse, our favorite jobs. We love doing aluminum. We love doing vinyl. We can do those faster and better than most. This other guy, he's really good at doing chain link, and he loves doing wood. So we spun those off on him. Well, we grew our revenue that year. And then in 2019, we did it, and we even pushed on the accelerator more. And we actually grew to where our overall job was just under $5,000. So we grew our revenue in 2 years from $2,900 to about $5,000. And we took great care of a friend in the industry and fed him all kinds of jobs. And his business grew because he spent more time splitting up and chasing jobs with the two crews than with one crew. So it was a win-win. We made a great friend in the industry that grew his business, and we grew our business, and we didn't add any more personnel. That's how, but we used mySalesman to really bring in those jobs and look at them and evaluate them before we ever even went to estimate them.
Okay. That is like what you just said there, extremely important, because I talk to so many fence contractor owners that their attitude is the exact opposite, that, you know, we'll take it. Custom work, iron fences, aluminum, vinyl, wood, across the board, they will take it. They'll do it all. You said the opposite. I'm going to niche down. I'm going to do basically what we're competent in and can knock out quick with a smaller amount of crews. And then the other thing you did differently is you said, I'm not going to be in the price match business or nothing like that. Nope. This is the profit we want. This is the price. And so you raised your prices, kept the same number of crews, raised your prices, and niched down. Is that right?
So we not only did we raise our prices, but I went to my crews and I said, what are your favorite jobs to do? What do you guys love to do? And let's focus on them. Because I literally, I tell people all the time, our unemployment rate here is 0. And I know that for a fact because I've hired everybody that's walked into my office, and 60% of them don't show up for the first day, and the rest of them don't last but a week or two. And the few that do stay, they're the ones that I build my crews out of. But we didn't even raise our prices that much. We just said we're not gonna go down below this margin, and this is our margin. And when we get our favorite kind of jobs, these are the jobs we're going to do. Everything else we're going to give to our friend in the industry, and he loved it. He made more money. He came to me and said, we made more money this year than we did last year. So it was a win-win for everybody. But I think by not being so, I have to have it all, we actually were more successful.
Awesome. Okay. So the other thing you mentioned is your approach. This is an inbound lead approach with mySalesman. So let's say that someone calls in to your company on the phone and they say simply, you know, I want a fence. How does this go? Can you kind of role play that out?
This is what we have figured out, and I really believe it works great. And like I said, I talked to a lot of different fence companies, and we've helped train them and teach them this pattern, and they've all given us positive feedback. So when Mrs. Jones calls in, once again, Mrs. Jones is every fence person in our world, but Mrs. Jones calls in and she says, you know, I'm interested in a fence. Can you come give me a quote? We still take down all of their information, just like we always have for years. We write down her name, her address, her phone number, what style of fence she wants, her email address. We collect all that information, and how did you hear about us, or where did you hear about us? So we collect all that, which I believe almost every fence company in the United States does that. One thing that we add right after that is we say, did you know, Mrs. Jones, you can go to our website and you can actually draw a picture where you want your fence, go through a catalog, pick out some different styles, and do that before we ever come see you, just to kind of give you an idea. Most, not all, but most of the customers love that idea, and they go right to it and draw it. Now, there is a group of customers that just say, no, we want you to come give us a quote. And we say, perfect. We would love to do that. We're going to hand that off to our salesperson. He's going to make an appointment with you. Do you mind if we go ahead and do a drawing for you? Were you thinking you want to just engulf your backyard? Are you thinking of just across we start asking some questions to build that relationship with them. Then they start talking about it. So then we go to mySalesman internally, enter in all their information, enter in their email address, and we do a quick little drawing, and we pick a very nice affordable fence for them, and we send that to them. And what we feel like we're doing is we're getting their mindset ready to buy a fence. They know now that they can't afford a vinyl fence, and they'll start thinking about a chain link fence. Sometimes they'll even call us back and say, well, that's way out of my budget number, or way out of my price range. I'm going to have to probably go chain link. Okay. So I just go in there, I click change the drawing. We send them a chain link one. Hey, was that in your budget? Now, not only are we not really giving them a firm number, but we're doing a little work ahead of time. So when our salespeople get there, they are ready to actually sell this type of fence. Instead of walking in trying to gather this much information, we only have to gather this much information, which helps our salespeople be more efficient also. And it's not wasting their time. It truly is worth the money we charge. I've had so many people across the nation tell me that is a great way to do it. And you got the phone call, you drove them to your website, they did a drawing tool. The drawing tool website automatically sends them an email. So they get an email thanking them for shopping with some more information. You're flooding them with information, and you're branding your name, Empire, all the time right to them. And now they have that working relationship with you. When in the past, the customer would go and fill out an online deal or call and wait for somebody to call them back, and they're waiting and waiting. We're not in the age of waiting anymore, right? Everybody wants information right now. That's what mySalesman does. That has been part of our success.
Got it. So Mrs. Jones calls in, you take down her personal details, and then you tell her that she can draw her own fence. She can go to the website. What if she doesn't want to do that? Then is like someone at your...
That's when I draw it for her.
Okay.
On my own computer, or somebody from my office, whoever answers the phone, Melanie, everybody in my office is trained on how to use it. And we're all trained to say about the same thing. We literally have a session where we get together and we practice. What are we going to say to Mrs. Jones? And we practice, and everybody says a similar routine of how to get them to the website. And most people nowadays, they're more than willing to go. Some people, they don't want to mess with it. So then that's when we just hop on there. It literally takes less than 3 or 4 minutes. Boom, you crank it out, you send it to them, it's done.
That's really nice. So that system is in place. Everyone's saying the same thing. And so she gets the price over the phone, and you email it.
No, she gets the price from the email that she receives. And while she's shopping online, it'll pop right up there. It'll say a range. It'll say from 2,000 to 3,000. And that range is all customizable by everybody's fence. They do their own. But they all that. We don't give any numbers over the phone. We don't want to. One, because the information that we gather from mySalesman is so unique. We have done a really good job of dialing in a lot of things that we don't have to ask questions, because the software does it for you. And I don't want to go into all those details. If anybody wants to know how we are the best, give us a call, talk to Rachel, talk to myself. We have some things on the background that you would be amazed on how well we give them a qualified number.
Got it. And so this approach, how has, like, for instance, right now we've got the coronavirus thing we're dealing with.
Oh
has
my.
this method helped, hurt?
This has been a real blessing. I got an email, or actually, I did not get an email. I got an email from Rachel that got an email from one of our customers that said they are so thankful that they have this because they're able to have dialogue with their customers while drawing this tool, by using the drawing tool and by doing this. And we even have some people that are getting the rough idea of where it is. And then you can go out and measure the yard and not have any human interaction if that's what you choose. I have always said in the past, we do not want to skip out on going to look at a job. My famous line around here is, you cannot give a haircut over the phone. It just doesn't work. You have to look at the project.
Okay.
But today's time, we can send our salespeople out there. I've sent my 16-year-old daughter out to measure and verify a fence because I have the drawing there of about where I want the fence, and then I'll just send them out and verify the measurements. Then when I go to give a firm quote, I plug in those measurements. Once I plug in those measurements, I can whip out that quote in just a few minutes. So it really has, this is a terrible time that our country's going through or the world is going through. And my prayers are out for everybody that's suffering and that can't work. And I hope, not to get off subject, but I hope all business owners are reaching out to their local schools, their community, their other businesses, and seeing what they can do to help them out, because we have to band together and try to take care of each other and don't depend on the government to do it for us. Not to get on a soapbox, but I really do know it's a tough time. Fortunately, I think that mySalesman has a great tool to help keep fence people working and salespeople working without a lot of interaction if it's done right.
Got it. So if I'm understanding this right, they're given I just want to reiterate these steps a little bit because I get asked this all the time. They're given a price range by email, but should the salesperson actually be giving that range over the phone while they're there on the phone?
I normally don't do that. I normally say, let's don't get in a habit of, let's leave that to our trained people, our actual salesperson after they go out and look at it and measure it. Let's work through a couple things, because that range is big enough that we're just trying to let that person know a vinyl fence is going to cost approximately this much money. A wood fence is going to cost approximately this much. Chain link is going to here. Now, if you want our premium product, it's going to be clear up here. Are you sure you want that? Or I have a lot of people that'll call me and say, hey, over on Van Dorn, 70th and Van Dorn, there's a fence. I love that fence. And it's our fence track system with our honey maple for Homeland vinyl. It is it's the most beautiful fence in Lincoln. I have a lot of people call for it, but it's not as affordable as a regular vinyl fence or a regular iron fence. So I have that one fence plugged into mySalesman so I can hit that. So they know, hey, this is not a cheap fence, but it is one of the most beautiful fences in Lincoln. So, I have that all dialed in there. So we try not to really give numbers, but we let the software give the numbers for us.
Okay. And so they get emailed this budget. What happens next?
So once they receive that email, the email not only goes to Mrs. Jones, but it also goes to our sales team. Every time our sales team receives an email, we distribute them out, and then our people call them immediately. Our goal, and we've done this testing, we've done a 36-hour rule. There for a while, I was thinking, okay, maybe the homeowner needs like 3 or 4 days to process this. So we started waiting 3 or 4 days to call the homeowner. We would wait a week to call the homeowner, or we tried calling the homeowner within 24 hours. We have proven that if you contact that homeowner within 24 hours and set that appointment, and if your appointment is within the first 48 hours of that homeowner receiving that email, you'll get that customer off the market faster than your competitors will because of your quick response. Now, I know that gets tough to do, especially in the heat of the battle. And you know, in these upper states where we can only work 6-7 months for a year's salary. I mean, you have to really get after it and go. But the beautiful part of that is that once you get, once you contact that customer 2 or 3 times, they've been to your website, you've sent them an email, your salesperson has contacted them. Now you're going to seeing them. You really have a good relationship, and the goal should be to get them off the market faster, whether the economy is great or whether the economy is bad. Your goal should always be, I want to get this customer off the market before my competitor ever even gets to them. And that's our goal here at Empire.
Got it. So the beauty of this system, in my opinion, is the simplicity of it, that you can bring someone in, and an employee, for instance, and teach them the tool so they can work that through with the customer. And then, you know, it's all set up for your salespeople to go in and close. But is it possible for, you know, some of these guys who, and gals that, you know, they're still doing the sales themselves. So someone calls in, you know, there's a lot of guys still like that doing the sales. Can you sell a fence like 100% over the phone? Do you know of anyone working it that way?
I do know some people. Everybody has to go to their own beat, right? I don't like to do that. I'm just too scared there's going to be something in that yard that is going to throw something out of whack, and I just get too nervous. I like to build fences without change orders, if at all possible. We try to do everything we can. I do know of a few people out there that are doing it, and they're having a lot of success, and I've talked to them about it, and I've talked to them about, what about integrity of, aren't you scared that something's going to go wrong, or aren't you scared of this? And I think they're going about it the right way by qualifying enough things with the homeowner and going through saying, listen, when I get there, if this is in the way, then this could charge. If we hit rocks, you know, I just think that I don't like to do it. Now, I will be honest. I sold a $12,000 fence to a guy here in our little town of Waverly. I built the fence right next to his yard, and 2 houses down, I built that fence. I know the backyard. I know the layout. I know they have sprinklers. I know the customer. He called me up. I whipped up a quick estimate for him. I sold it in about 6 minutes. But I know all of his neighbors. I mean, this is a town of 3,000 people. I know, hate to say it, I probably know most of them.
Got it. And so for your sales training, you mentioned everyone is on the same page, like they're all saying the same thing. How often should fence contractors be reviewing this, their inbound sales strategy and stuff like that?
We try to do it about once a year. We've been very fortunate. In the last 3 years, we've had, well, pretty much zero turnover from our foremans on up. We just don't. We were a revolving door for a long time and had people going in and out. And about 3 years ago, we made a commitment to our employees by doing a few things, and we just had zero turnover. The people that are here are staying, and they like what they do. They like the culture that we're in. I'm a big, firm believer that you build a culture that people like and they won't leave. And your employees are your most precious asset. And so we really put a lot in that. So we practice it probably about once a year, or whenever I think that we're getting a little bit lazy, I bring everybody in and try to make it a luncheon thing, and we go over it a little bit. We're probably about due for that right now, because we are coming off of winter, coming into spring. It's probably about time, but probably once a year review it.
Got it. Okay. So when it comes to the lead itself, a qualified lead means a lot of things to a lot of different people. Your method with the mySalesman tool, what constitutes a qualified lead, and like how does that work?
Yeah, our number one factor of a qualified lead is somebody that's serious about buying a fence. That's the number one thing we're trying to make sure. The rest of it is really how good are we at presenting and letting people understand that the quality that they're getting. We are not the most affordable fence company in Lincoln. If you go to the top 5 insured fence companies in Lincoln, Nebraska, we're going to be right in the middle. We're going to be number 2 or 3, somewhere in there. We won't hardly ever be at the bottom. We won't hardly ever be at the top. Now, there is probably over 20 fence companies in Lincoln, Nebraska, so there is a lot of competition. But I would like to think that if you have somebody that is serious about buying a fence and you can figure that out, you can make them, if you can understand that they really want to buy the fence, that is what mySalesman is doing for you. That's the number one thing. The rest of it, we should do a good job of presenting ourselves and our products. I believe in our products.
Got it. Awesome. So, and there's different with your leads, there's different levels of qualification. Is that right? Am I saying that right? Can you talk about that?
Well, I mean, there's always different kinds of leads out there, right? There's always don't get me wrong. Our sales guys, when they see a lead come through and it says $15,000, they're excited. You know, that's obviously the size of the lead, that somebody went all the way through and we got an email on it. They fight to run go thing to get that lead. There is some people that go on our software and they drop off and they don't go all the way through. We still track all that information. We call all those secondary leads. Those are the tire kickers. Those are the people that aren't committed on spending the money right now, or they're trying to figure out, okay, if my tax return is going to be $3,000, how do I get into the range of finding a $2,000 to $3,000 fence so I still have some money left over to buy a TV, all those things. We track all those. So as soon as anybody goes, we have their information. We can see how far they go through our products. That is a secondary lead to us. In the last 4 to 5 years, we don't even look at that report because we have so many great leads that we're way too busy to look at those. I will tell you, in a tough economy, a lot of my friends in the industry would call all those. We used to call them. We just haven't had to in the last 3 or 4 years.
Got it. Okay. So you kind of discussed the best time to schedule the appointment is within 24 hours.
That's what we've proven. Yep.
Okay. And how do you do that? Are your guys just going out there and say, we'll be there, or how's that work?
As soon as our customer gets the lead, as soon as our salespeople get the lead, we kind of decide who's calling who or whatever, and then that person is responsible for calling them. But everybody gets them. Like, we have certain guys that sell vinyl a little bit better than they sell iron. We have guys that do sell some wood better than they sell. So we kind of decide on that. But if somebody's in Lincoln and they're in South Lincoln and they call that customer, they might be able to go see them within a couple hours. That blows people away when we do that. When we pull in, when we call Mrs. Jones and we're within an hour of being there and we're out in their part of town because they received that email, they literally can hit the map button. We have a button you can hit to see how far you are from that lead. It's amazing. Hey, I could be there in 15 minutes. That customer is automatically at least, I don't know, let's just say 40, 50% happier to see you than a guy that they see a week later. I mean, it's amazing when that happens in the perfect world. That doesn't always happen, but boy, when it does, that's a good job.
Nice. And then to schedule them, what sort of a platform are you using to actually book the appointment?
We're still a little old school. We use Outlook on that. We are entertaining some. I just got off the phone with a very, very nice CRM service that wants to team with mySalesman. I'm doing a little beta testing with them. I don't know if they understand our world like most people do. They're more, I want to make sure that they know how fencing works. Before, I'm very, very picky about what happens with our customer base. We have a lot of customers that believe in us and know that we are in their world. We walk in their moccasins every day. So we believe in what they do, and we want to make sure we're going that way. Right now, we just use Outlook.
Got it. Awesome. So what I'd like to do is I actually have a couple questions for Rachel, and then I want to dive into a Q&A session here, if that's all right.
Okay, good.
So Rachel, you handle the client management for mySalesman, is that right?
That is correct.
Okay, can you just give everyone just kind of a brief rundown about yourself and how you got involved?
Okay. Well, by trade, I went to the University of Nebraska for education. So I have taught students almost 16 years before joining the mySalesman team, worked in student ministries. I have known Matt and his entire family since we were just wee little ones in elementary school, grammar school, junior high. So that is actually how I know and got involved with mySalesman, is because of the friendships that we have with Matt and his wife, Melanie. I suppose it was Fence Tech, I don't know, 6 Fence Techs ago when it was in Orlando. And Matt had called my husband and I, who my husband also went to school with the Warner family, and asked if we wanted to go down to Orlando. We are in Nebraska, so it's freaking freezing in the wintertime. So when Matt's like, hey, you want to go to Orlando? We're like, well, my husband's like, do we have to talk to people? So, yeah, it's something that we decided. We had known about Matt and his mySalesman plan. We sat around his kitchen table and said, I got this great idea. And you know how Matt talks and how he had his marker board out and wrote out the whole plan. My husband and I are like, yeah, he's going to do something with that. That is an amazing idea. We just know that. So when he asked us to go down to Fence Tech for the first time, we said yes, and went with them for a couple of years. And then when the empire started to grow so much, and Jamie Pavel, who's Matt's brother-in-law, Melanie's brother, was running the mySalesman. When his duties for Empire kind of got to the point where mySalesman was kind of on the back burner, then that's when they called me and said, hey, you know what? We would really like it if you would come on board full time. And this is after we've been with them for several years at Fence Tech. So after prayerfully considering it, that's when I jumped on board in 2017. Not only did I jump on board with mySalesman, but at that time we were going through transition with their residential sales manager. And lo and behold, I was selling fence and doing estimates as well. So, I jumped into the fee industry. I jumped in head first. So it's been a blessing, and I've met the most amazing people. I'm a director for the American Fence Association Midwest chapter. So I have got connections from all over the country and out of the country, and have made just wonderful connections with those people. And I really feel like as part of mySalesman and me running mySalesman, that says volumes for who we are in the fence industry. And I always want everybody to get the best service they possibly can and take care of them, because when our fence contractors are successful, we are successful, and that is our main goal. And the relationships with our contractors are there, and they're real, and we want them to be successful.
Nice. So where do people need to, I want to talk about a tactical question here. Where should people be putting this tool, this link on their sites? I get asked that quite a bit. So what are your thoughts on that?
Sure, that is a really important question, because if your customers don't have, if they can't get access to your link and you're not telling them about this tool that you have, then mySalesman is not going to help you at all. You really have to. This is not just a marketing ploy. It's a great marketing tool. Don't get me wrong. I mean, we've done so much with the catchphrase, get your instant online quote. I mean, with the fence company I deal with, our marketing department, and so when we do any kind of TV or radio, that we're not even putting a phone number out there. Everything is get your instant online quote. So, but you have to let your customers have access to that, and that is very important. So, and I know that there's a lot of fence contractors out there who are putting all their apples into the hands of their technical support, their web designer, and that's awesome, because web designers know marketing. The only problem is it's a contractor's tool for their leads and qualifying leads, so they need to have that knowledge of how the tool works, what is the best practice, and not just throw it up on their website, because that's important too. Point two is you want to have that your link up on your website with that call to action button on that first page, something that is not just in that top tab where you have the gallery, the contact, instant online quote. No, that's not going to grab my eye as the consumer. I might be calling the fence contractor, and they're sending me there, and then I may know about what to look for. But if I'm organically searching, Googling fence, and I come to a page, a fence company's page, I may not even notice if it's not sticking out there like a sore thumb saying, hey, get a free instant online quote. Now, again, some of those buttons are like a contact button or get a free quote. Those could just be your regular run-of-the-mill contact pages that the contractor will receive, and then they have to respond by email. We want these customers to know that you have this tool available, that they're going to actually get legit numbers right now. And I've told a lot of my customers this last summer when I went through the horrific ordeals of trying to buy a vehicle for my 20-year-old daughter who needed a new car. I needed to know some numbers. Most of the time anymore, auto dealers don't put those numbers on the car. And it drives me crazy, because I don't want somebody just to sell me a loan. I need to know numbers, and that's what I'm going to look at. So it's almost the same way. I mean, it is the same with the fence. I mean, customers would like to get a little bit of information before they sometimes even talk to people. Because if I'm not in the wheelhouse of buying a $10,000 fence, maybe I thought that was $1,000. So I need to know that information. So we need to get that information to our customers, and we need to give them access to that link somewhere nice on their website where people can see it. And those people in the offices taking those calls need to be directing their customers to that.
Got it. Okay. So
Rachel, we've learned that if you can get that button on the first page so they don't have to scroll or anything, and it's an easy place to drive them to verbally, like on our website, we say, hey, go right to the middle of the first page, right in the middle in red, in a red box, it's going to say fence. Click on that red box. That way they have a color, they have a location. That's very important. But as far as the link goes, Rachel, we tell people, put that thing here and here and here, here and here and over there and on Facebook, and send it out to social media. That link is yours. Put that sucker everywhere. Blast it everywhere so people can go on there and draw their fence. But as far as the immediate location, top of the page, front, easy, with a color and everything else. That's the simple part of it.
Awesome. Okay, so I want to keep us on time. At this point, let's go ahead and dive into a Q&A session. We're getting a lot of questions coming in here. And boy, everyone's still with us, so this is awesome. So let's go ahead and get into these questions if we can. We have one here from Scott Pruney. He says, when looking at a vinyl fence, 6-foot white privacy is stocked and lowest price. When using the program and client just selects the fancy vinyl and sees a high price, how do you guide them to the cheaper product? Is this a conversation or done in the program?
You know, I tell people all the time, don't put in every option you have. But don't forget, I encourage everybody to go see the customer and still do a sales presentation. So I tell everybody, put in the bare minimum, put in your most affordable. You can always try to upsell them on would you like a lattice top? Would you like this? Would you like a semi-private? Would you like this? You can always upsell them. But I tell people, we put in a lot of stuff when we go to Fence Tech because we want to show people all the different options. But a lot of times we'll take a lot of that stuff out and we won't put in our most expensive fences. We really want them to get a good idea of what the generic brand is, or your number one seller, or your favorite fence to install.
That's super huge because I've seen people just load this thing with so many options that's got to like blow the customer's mind. Like, now what?
It is.
So much to choose from.
And remember, all we're doing is trying to get them some instant information numbers. So the old KISS method, keep it simple, Simon.
Mm-hmm.
Keep it simple.
Awesome. Now we have another question here. This one's coming from Ryan Early. What happens if they live in a high forest area where it's hard to see the property line? How do we ensure that it's a close measurement?
You don't. But here's the deal. I promise you that they know about where their fence lines are, and they're the ones doing the drawing, and most of the time they get pretty close. But that's always an easy explanation. If you're good at sales at all, and the fence is off by 10, 20 feet, and the budget's off a little bit, you can say, oh, I see. Actually, you have about 50 more feet of fence here than what the budget was looking at. But if you look at the per foot and the thing, we're still going to, or the per foot price and how many feet it is, and figure out the per foot, we're still going to stay in that range, in that area. So the trees are a bit of a problem, and it doesn't always work. It's not 100%, but most of the time the homeowners do kind of know where their property lines are. And I've seen some pretty good drawings in very thick tree areas.
Got it. Okay. Now we have a question coming in from Sheila Sardinha. Hope I'm not butchering your name, but Sheila's asking, is there an application for temporary fence?
Oh, this is awesome.
Recognizing there are options for temporary fence products.
Yes. So here's what we do too. I learned this a couple years ago. We do a ton of temporary fencing. We do both panel fencing. We do temporary panels. We do driven posts. We do core drills, all that. I actually have that on my chain link division on there. And I tell all my general contractors, when you're building a budget, just go in here, draw where you think you want your fence or about how many feet you want. And here's your 3 options. And it gives me an opportunity to sell to my local general contractors. I go in, I take them some sandwiches or donuts. I say, hey, did you see we have this drawing tool? Check this out. When you're working on your numbers, and I come from the general contractor world, so I know what they're doing. They're just trying to throw together temporary fence numbers. This will get you in there. And sometimes I have my favorite GCs. I actually give them a number. I'll say, hey, this is your price. So measure it out, plug it in, go all the way through. I'll see that you did that. Couple things happens behind the scenes. One, I'm branding myself in front of that general contractor once again. They're thinking about me. 2, I see when they do that, they go through that, and I see that it's Cheever Construction or NGC Group. Now I can call them and say, hey, you're working on a project, and I can maybe be the first guy to them to say, let me give you some permanent fence numbers also. So it really works well for temporary fencing. I love it. I use it all the time.
Interesting. Cool. So we have another question here. This one is coming from Scott Pruney. Can you program in an option if you're using financing? So it would read as $10,000 or only $125 a month.
We don't have that right now. I really feel like the range is big enough that you're going to be covering even the price for financing or below. And if you can always get below, if you can, my idea is if you can go see that customer, and let's say the range is $3,000 to $4,000, but your financing is going to get payments down, or you're going to sell it somehow else. That's a great time for a salesperson to do that. Remember, I'm encouraging people to go give them a sales presentation. Go do what us in the fence industry are really good at, and that's selling fence. Have your people go do that. Now, we are coming out with some new stuff. I don't want to talk about it too much here. We do have a competitor out there, and I think it's fun to try to stay on the cutting edge. We have some really cool things coming where we're going to do some marketing and advertising for you to your homeowners, and I think most people are going to love it. So we have some exciting stuff coming in the fall.
Cool. Now we have a few questions from David Ionone. David asks, can the homeowner access the request online without live interaction, or must they speak with the representative to qualify?
No, they can do the whole thing all on their own. And that's what that's our favorite kind of lead, because it takes no effort from our part. So the organic, I love those leads, the organic leads or somebody is telling somebody else, hey, go to the Empire. You can do a quick drawing there and figure out what your fence costs. Those are the best kind. And no, they don't have to have any interaction. They don't have any interaction until we receive their email that says, hey, I'm serious about a fence. Come sell me a fence. Because that's what that email basically is doing.
Got it. And he asks, is this predominantly residential, or do you find value with commercial estimates or applications for this too?
We really are focused on the residential industry. That's what we are really focused on. But like I said, with the temporary fencing, I have found a way to get it in front of my GCs. They have it right there. They have my website locked in. I know almost about every construction job that my favorite GCs are doing before all my other competitors, because they're using our drawing tool for temporary fencing, and it's worked great. So it's mostly residential, but can it be tweaked for commercial? Sure.
Okay, awesome. And we have just a couple more questions here. We got one more from David. He's asking, has your closing ratio changed versus not utilizing mySalesman? So do you understand what he's asking there?
Oh, absolutely. Our closing ratio jumped 25% after using this, and we went on less leads. So our overhead has went down, and I thought maybe I was being too optimistic, because you know how as a business owner, you think if it's your idea, it's always the greatest idea. So I asked other people to also run the numbers. I had a great company out east that they called me up and they said, Matt, our closing ratios are out the roof. We go on less leads, but we're generating more revenue, and it's all to blame on you. So I'll take that one.
Nice. Now we have a question that came in from someone on a smartphone. There is no name attached to this, but they say, we have always purposely chosen high-end products or specs to differentiate ourselves from our competitors. Does the program allow for sell sheets or brief comparison statements so that they can easily tell why my price is what it is?
Well, I don't know if I'm going to answer this correctly, because I'm probably thinking differently, but no, it doesn't have a lot of detailed information to them. their drawing, their footage, and their range. There's a lot of detail going on to get that very valued range, but we sell what I would like to think only the best products. I mean, I would like to think we sell the best vinyl, we sell the best aluminum, we sell the best steel. Our wood, we sell all #1. We don't even offer a cedar tone or a pine. No, we don't offer anything, only cedar. And because we want to be different, we want to be the best. I'm a very, very competitive guy to the point where it drives most of the people around me nuts. But with that range in there, you can make that range go down a little bit and up a little bit so it softens the blow. But that's really the sales presentation. And we don't want to take anything away from that sales presentation. Man, we got to get our guys out there and say, this is why we are the best. This is why we cost a little bit more. This is why we've been in business for 12 years or 25 years. Or I talked to a fence company the other day that's on their 3rd generation. That's amazing. We're fairly new in the industry, but we're passionate about it.
Awesome. I want to give a quick shout out to Tommy Ventura, Vidrin, Wesley, Caleb, RNS Fence Co., Mario on Facebook. RNS Fence Co. says, we love our mySalesmen.
All right.
So that's nice. And so that brings us pretty much to time. Do you have any other words of wisdom, something you'd like to add, Matt?
You know, I really appreciate the fence industry and my friends in the industry. I have people that I call all the time. Some people I call at 6 in the morning because I know they're early birds. Some people we get to talking at 9 o'clock at night. Next thing I know, it's midnight. We've talked for 2-3 hours. So I appreciate all my friends in the industry. And I really believe that with social media, the fence industry has become more friends. And I wouldn't like to think that we have a single enemy in the industry. We have competitors that we love, and we work with them all over. And mySalesman's been a real blessing to our family, and to be able to bring Rachel on, and Rachel's getting ready to hire somebody else to help her. I just think that the industry, I just want a big shout out to all my friends out there. I really appreciate how much they take care of us and all the things they do for us. So more of a thank you than anything else. I just appreciate my friends in the industry.
Nice. And Mike Van Bibber says, hi, Rachel, you're the best.
Everybody loves Rachel. Why do you think we got rid of Jamie? No, that's a joke. That's it. We love Jamie too, but Rachel does a great job. She's really embraced the industry. And I'll give her a shout out. Not only has she sold fence, but she's installed fence. She's carried pickets. She's been out there helping dig the holes. So she is a true fencer. She has come full circle, and she knows the industry pretty darn good.
That's awesome. I did not know that. Good. Kudos to you, Rachel. Wow.
Hey, and we're all online school teachers now with all of our kids in the office. So they're going to be cranking out some estimates real soon too. Good math lesson.
That's right.
Nice. All right. Well, Matt, Rachel, thank you so much for all this. This was very helpful for everyone, and we all learned a lot. And so I think on that note, we can go ahead and bring this webinar to a close.
I love it. Thank you, Scott, for putting this
Thanks
together.
for tuning in, everybody.
My pleasure. I enjoyed it. Thank you so much. Have a good one, everybody. Thank you for your time. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.